Hi, Brooklyn. This is April Biss. I did receive your newsletter. Thank you. No worries. I'm going to give you my feedback through video. I think it's easier to give this to you instead of typing out all of my suggestions. But thank you so much for submitting. Let me go ahead and hide our baseline grid here so I can actually look at your overall newsletter. I noticed that you linked your copy boxes correctly. Great job. And also you did your page numbers perfectly. Excellent. Those are usually the two things that students have issues with when submitting this. So you did a great job. I like the top of this. I think you did a great job implementing your information here. Now, I provided a link to a demo on Monday for this week when you continue on your page 3 and 4 for your second article. And in that video, I mentioned about leaving room here for table contents. So it's kind of like a real world experience here that you're going to be going through because, you know, when we're as designers, we always have to be flexible for changes, the last minute changes, especially with publication design. So this is kind of like a true example of how things work in the real world. So you'll be all ready and say you have all this nicely aligned and things you worked real hard on, and then somebody will come back to you and say, we need to put this in. So this is a real world example of that. We need to put table contents. So in order to do that, I would switch this to your first copy box. I would go to text frame options, go ahead and downsize that to 2, and then move your copy box over to where it breaks, you know, nicely down here. This looks good, just these 2 columns. And it's a small table of contents, so it really only needs to take up this 1 column, which is nice because we're only doing a 4-page newsletter, so there's really not much going on there. All right, so I explained how to put that in, and I'm just showing you here visually just how you would move your information. So if you haven't listened to that recording, go ahead and do that. I showed how to place in that copy because that copy is not provided to you. You need to paste that in there or type it in there yourself. All right, so that's a kind of like an easy fix here. Let's go ahead and take a look at your styles, your style guide. So body copy looks good. Let's see, you have 12 point. Now this is big. So I wouldn't go any bigger than this. If you don't have any room, say for instance, when you pull that table of contents up, you're going to have, it looks like you're okay. So it's up to you. If you want to make your body copy smaller, you don't have to because it looks like it's fitting in here nicely. You could just leave it. 12 is pretty big. That would be for like people who are a little bit older in age that may not be able to see a newsletter would be like set to 12. I would typically go like 10 or 11 point size. It's just a nicer, smaller size, but you have everything set good. And it looks like you're having no issues with placing this in here. So I would say if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You actually have an extra space here you can delete because we don't have spaces. We have indents in between all of our paragraphs. So keep it consistent, take that space out. All right, let's see your intro copy. Intro copy, you have an extra, oh, good, perfect. You have your own style guide for that. What you might want to do is just kind of condense this down a little bit or, you know, pull this up. Let's see. I would take the stroke off of this pink box just because it makes it look a little cleaner, and I would pull this up just a little bit. And then I would select everything and pull it down just a little bit so it's closer to the copy here. Well, it looks like you have a line here. Do you need this blue line? Probably not. I would just delete it because, you know, white space is also nice to have that white space to divide up your space. I'm pulling this a little bit closer together, the copy box with the headline, and I'll make this box just a little smaller, just kind of condensing everything, moving it down closer. Oh, I'm on the box here, hold on. All right, that way I have a little bit more room up here because it seems like everything's kind of a little bit, it's a little bit too big up here, like it's very smushed. So what I would do is I would probably make this a little bit smaller. I like the newsletter headline so that you have just a little bit more space to frame around there. And I'll show you what this looks like here. So, you know, oh, you have a line here. I would just delete that. I don't think that's needed. Go ahead, simplify that a little bit. I think less is more sometimes in those cases. I like that yellow line that you're connecting with that little, the light bulb up there. I think that works really well. And yeah, everything looks good. So then we'll go to the second page. Now that we shifted some of our copy, we can probably move this down to accommodate that new flow of copy. And just kind of look for any weird widows or things that kind of make the paragraph rag look a little uneven. I just did a shift return there, so it takes care of one of my hyphens. And then this looks good. You have your circles in here. Everything looks aligned. Yeah, everything looks great. You could just like an FYI, and this is because I have nothing else more to say. You could put in, say, an image in this box here. Let's see. Like for instance, we could do maybe this image. And we could do like a, let's see, we can give it like a, let's try 30 opacity. And this is in your properties panel here where it says opacity. And then we can do a rectangle, similar size, using that. I don't know if you had that blue here. Was it that blue? Yeah, I guess you did have that blue. And just do the same size over top. And then we're going to go to object, arrange, send to back. And then you can see how, like, just because you have a screen on that image, you can see how that image changes. And maybe it's not that image. Maybe you want to go with one like this one, where you kind of did it on the front cover. But just kind of giving you an idea of things that you can try that might be kind of visually interesting. It gives it a little bit more texture, but you're keeping that color. So really, basically, I have that image set at 30% over top of another blue color. So that's, I'm seeing that image over top. Just gives it a nice kind of a look to it. And that block looks good. Okay, yep, that's it. So let me know if you have any questions, but you did great.